Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. I read recently that one of the people that Bernie Madoff scammed was his sister. His sister. You probably recall a few years back when in one of the housing projects here in Chicago, some 10 and 11-year-old children dropped a small boy out of a 5-story window. These are little kids, 10 and 11 years old. There are parts of Chicago where a parent won't let their children go out unescorted to play, even in the daytime. It always makes me think, what's this world coming to when I see and hear things like this? When I was a boy, we didn't even lock the doors of the house when everyone was gone. You could always come by and walk right in the front door. The only time we locked the doors was if we were going to go away for 2 or 3 weeks on vacation. I was probably 15 before I knew we had a key to the front door. So what has changed, and why has it changed, is something I ask myself fairly often. If you're like me, and you long for those days when you felt confident, you could predict how other people were going to react, they were like you. They had the value system you had. If they told you something, you could pretty much take their word for it. Well, you can make a difference. We can make a difference. The way we can do it is by setting an example. Now, this is easy in that it doesn't take additional time. It's not like it doesn't take additional money. You don't have to donate to the policeman's ball or the fireman's ball. You don't have to campaign for a politician that's promoting law and order. Those things may be useful in and of themselves, but what I'm talking about is setting a good example. Think about how you learned what you consider acceptable behavior, the common denominator that you would expect you and all your friends to operate by. Your parents not only told you what to do, but they did it themselves. You saw the way they reacted to situations, even under stress. This is, in fact, probably the best time to test those things. You knew that when you were out perambulating about town, that if you misbehaved, it was going to get back to your parents. So you'd find out about it. So you didn't misbehave. You always had that compass in there because what your parents had demonstrated to you, what your aunts and uncles demonstrated, what your friends and their parents demonstrated to you, you saw it every day. This became your compass. That's how you find out how you're supposed to operate. And this is a crucial baseline for society to operate with. I've seen this same sort of thing as an adult and how it can affect one. In my own life, most of you know, I was divorced quite a few years ago. And my late wife actually is the one who set an example for me that really helped me get a grip on how I was going. When I got my first divorce, I'd been married for 25 years to this woman. But the divorce was so long, so expensive, and so painful, I haven't spoken to that woman in 10 years. That kind of bitterness, especially early on, affected me. It affected everything I did. But when I met Gail, She didn't tell me, don't carry that baggage or anything like that. It was nothing that she said. But she, who had also been divorced, perhaps not as painfully, I don't know, we never really talked much about those things. But her approach to life in general was just always optimistic, always living in the moment. You've got the hand you're dealt. Right now, what's the best path forward? She used to say to me, I don't like to get mad because I don't think well. So she would never jump into the deep end of the pool emotionally. At that time in my life, that's where I lived, at the deep end of the pool. I reacted emotionally to a lot of things. And you get carried away very easily with that sort of thing. I wasn't thinking the way she would think. But she demonstrated that to me. She showed me what a difference it can make. It was very calming just being around her and talking with her about issues that either she or I had. You could also say, in my case, I'm thinking of business relationships. Probably each of you have some service station, auto supply store, whatever, that you particularly like to do business with because they've treated you well, like an individual. For me, it was CarMax. I don't think they'd even been in business all that long when I bought a used car from them. I was driving back and forth from Flossmoor to Naperville at the time, and I needed a second car. I bought a used car, was inexpensive, small little car, but the deal was, you pay the sticker price, there's no negotiation. You either decide it's reasonable or not. But they tell you they've gone over this and given it, I don't know, 1,000-point inspection or whatever, and they'll guarantee for 7 days if something they're saying is okay fails, they'll fix it. Well, I bought it because it was convenient. I didn't want to take the time to shop around for an inexpensive used car. I didn't know anybody who was selling something. So I bought one off of them, which fit my budget, looked like it'd do the work, and as it turns out, it had a problem. And I didn't find it for a few days, but I found it when I took it in for a problem that I thought I had. No questions asked. I brought it back to them along with the bill. I'd had it fixed by my mechanic. Then I brought it back to them, explained what happened. No problem at all. They mailed me a check for it. They paid for the repair. And that was important to me because I think most of us feel like what you want from a person, particularly a business person, is tell me what I'm going to get. You tell me what the price is, tell me what I'm getting for that money, and if you've got a guarantee, is that guarantee good? You expect it to be good. If it's a guarantee or a warranty, in my instance, it was good. So those type of experiences, I think, show how your individual actions, each one of us, whether you're in business, whether you're a friend, whether you're a spouse, whether you're a child, you touch so many people in your life. Each of us has an opportunity to demonstrate the kind of behavior we think should be what's a minimum acceptable standard for everyone. And we probably meet, what, 50, 100 people? You have employers, employees, you have schoolmates, you have spouses, children, relatives. If each of us consciously tries to practice what we think we should be doing each and every day, and I would say, if you don't always live up to it, you lose your cool like I do sometimes, and you look back and say, I wish I hadn't done that, don't beat yourself up too bad. We're all human. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try again. If each of us did that, if 2% of the population continuously demonstrated the kind of behavior I'm talking about, the whole country would change. Right. Mr. Toastmasters.